Hello. I can't even hear myself. I do to myself. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, hi everybody. Welcome to the show. As you can tell, it's a little bit different tonight. Hopefully you can hear me well. I'm not gonna lie. I forgot how to do all of this. What's happening? What do I do with my hands? It's been a while. It's certainly been a while since I've done this by myself. Oh boy. So I just want to make sure that some of the levels are good. So can you hear me all right? First and foremost, hopefully you can. If not, I need to fix that. Look at all you wonderful human beings coming in. Hello, Anna Banana. And Terry. And Catton. And Amos. And Grace. Hello. And Amy. And Buffy. Who else am I missing? And Angie. Wonderful. It's good to see you all. Good to see you all. Who hasn't hit the thumbs up? This guy hadn't hit the thumbs up yet. And that's okay. Oh, good grief. I hope everybody's had like the beginning of a good year. You know? I think we all deserve it, and I hope that you've had it. I don't know what's been going on lately. But I'm glad you're here. Ha, yes. Right name now. Hello, Bells. Hello. It's good to see you all. Tonight we had originally had planned to do religious crimes. And you know, sometimes things just don't go as planned. It just happens that way. And Terry wanted me to let you know that she's fine. But she had a procedure done for her kidneys, and the medication that they gave her did a bigger number than she had thought it was going to. And I said, you rest. That's more important. And I'll come up with something. So I'm super glad that she's doing well. I hope she said that whatever she results and things like that should be coming in tomorrow or the next day. So I am hoping for good things, as I think all of us are. Can you all hear this if I hit it?
Not today, Satan. Not today.
I just don't know if you can hear that. I told you it's been a long time, y'all. It's been a long time since I've hit a sound effect button. It's been all that. You heard it. Oh, good. Good. I'm really, at one point, my life will be complete when I can all of a sudden play this one.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
So at some point, it'll happen. I'm glad you all are here. Sorry if you were looking for Terry, but you're stuck with me tonight. Here's what I think we're going to do, and let's hear it for 5 minutes of prep time, but also 4 years of podcasting. I think I can give you some updates. We can talk for a little. We can hang out. I think we all need that. Just a good hangout. Take that how you will, Bazinga. I think, and then I have a bunch of backlog scripts that I've done before, but a long time ago. I was looking through some of my scripts, and I really just like this one. Just the past couple weeks has just been messed up. So this script that I'm doing is MK Ultra messed up, and so we're going to talk about MK Ultra, and hopefully have an interesting time while we do it. I'm sure you all know quite nicely, well, I'm sure you all know about MK Ultra at least a little bit, and what the kind of what all of that was. So we're gonna do that, and then I have up here the top 10 funniest moments within a court, and I think now listen. Here's the deal: I haven't gone through these, so I'm going with what they told me. So we'll do that. It's been a while since we've watched something together, so we'll do a little bit of that. So we'll do a case. We'll do the top 10 funniest moments in court. We might not do all of them, but that should be fun. And then we will probably end it for the night. It's going to be a quicker stream tonight. Without my compadre, my bestie. It's hard. It's so difficult. A lot of people are like, "You talk all the time. This should be fine." No, it's different, especially when you're out of practice. That muscle has not been used in quite some time. I realize what I said after I said it, so feel free to turn that into a sound piece. All right, so let's go ahead and start talking a little bit about this case. I didn't know anything about MK Ultra. I originally did this on Brew Crime, the other podcast that I have, but it's fascinating. So, control is a noun, right? It's the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events. And control is a verb, determine the behavior or supervise the running of. Control is such a weird word. But if I were to give you the following series of words, what would you think? Cold War, international relations, brainwashing, Nazi scientists, LSD, unwilling participants, mind control, and no checks or balances. Well, if you guys thought, heck, that sounds like a government-sponsored series of experiments run by the CIA between the years of 1953 and 1973, that would be an extremely specific guess, but also correct. Seriously, the entire thing sounds like a horror sci-fi TV series put on by some third-rate production company. So, without further ado, here we go. So the height of the Cold War occurred in the 50s and 60s. Fear was at one of its highest points. The U.S. was afraid of the Soviet Union, China, North Korea, its own shadow. They were specifically afraid that the group of countries was using mind control to control the U.S. POWs. While this deals with the CIA primarily, we also have to remember that J. Edgar Hoover was still in charge of the FBI as well. Now, J. Edgar Hoover was in charge of the FBI from 1924 to 1972. It is a really long time. Mike and I on Brew Crime just covered some of his top 10 celebrities that he had files on. Some of those files were like 3,000 pages long. Ridiculous. Also, before I forget, hello, Kelly. Hello, Patches. Thanks for stopping by. Don't take anything electronic into the shower. It doesn't work. Well, that sounds fun. With the right people? I don't know. All right. So, like I said, while it deals with the CIA, J. Edgar Hoover is still in charge of the FBI. At the same time, publications were putting out stories about, quote, communist brainwashers. A notable story was published by the New York Times, the same publication that exposed the CIA MK Ultra program. But they wrote that some soldiers were confessing to war crimes, which the U.S. denies. So obviously they were brainwashed to say that. And some were so brainwashed they refused to return to the US. In addition to this, the US was weeks away from sponsoring the overthrow of the democratically elected leader in Iran. News titles like New Evils Seen in Brainwashing and Brainwashing versus Western Psychiatry were causing worry. Books like The Manchurian Candidate were driving that point home. So, Allen Dulles was the first civilian director of the CIA in 1953. The CIA was growing more and more powerful. He gave a speech upon his appointment saying, quote, "In the past few years, we have become accustomed to hearing much about the battle for men's minds, the war of ideologies. I wonder, however, whether we clearly perceive the magnitude of the problem, whether we realize how sinister the battle for men's minds has become in Soviet hands. We might call it, in its new form, brain warfare." It doesn't take much to control men's minds. You just need like a helmet here and a banana there and an eggplant over here. Just it's not difficult. It's not difficult to do at all. Okay, so a lot of the spread of communism was explained away with the use of brainwashing. It made it easier for people to digest how such a vilified form of government could spread en masse. And again, I want to go back to the fact that how proud of himself was he when he said, we might call it in its new form, brain warfare. They really need to take it back to the desk. It needs to get workshopped a little bit. So, Allen Dulles called the Soviets' use of brainwashing abhorrent and nefarious, and this becomes extremely ironic in just a little bit. He said that our travels into mind control or brainwashing were hindered because any non-consensual experiment, even on one's enemies, was antithetical to American values. Did you just hear that? That was my mouth going, why the hell did you write antithetical? Oh, almost totally trashed that word. So in terms of that statement, again, it becomes very ironic in just a little bit, and you'll know why. Yep, bananas, eggplants, meerkats, you name it. That's all it takes. At all. Oh, hi. What's up, llama? Hello. Okay. So, excuse me. On the same day that I'm doing this, I decided to get a cold. I blame everybody that I hang out with. Shankar, hello. It's good to see you. How's Bacon Bit? I hope good. Watermelons, man. Watermelons. Seeded watermelons, not even seedless ones. All right, so MK Ultra. Ultra was preceded by two drug-related experiments called Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke. This was a project that researched interrogation methods. Mind control program. It was a mind control program that gathered information, and the scope of the project can be explained by, quote, can we get control of an individual to the point he will do our bidding against his will and even against the fundamental laws of nature, such as self-preservation. That's what they were going for. What? Ultra started in 1953. The size of the project was reduced in 64 and then again in 67, and it was stopped finally in 73. So 20 years this went on. The project was organized by the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence and the United States Army Biological Warfare Laboratories. Wow. What do I say? My friend was taking police science and became friends with college security. Security guys, bro, was selling LSD. It was on those little candies, the candy wrapper things. Yeah. Wait. It was on like the dots. That's wild. I mean, acid is on tabs and stuff, but putting LSD on the dots, you almost hope that drug dealer person has some ethics in what he what he gives. That's it. Thank you. What he gives out. I'm gonna try and move away. Dude. Here's the thing, right? Dare taught me where to find drugs. I mean, there's the just say no, but I also didn't know anything about them until I was in that program. It's almost like the war on drugs was a bad idea. Sorry, my politics are showing. So the project was organized. I told you who the project was organized by. Where did MK Ultra get the name? So MK indicated sponsorship of the technical services staff. Ultra was originally a description of the classification of World War II intelligence. MK Ultra was focused on the US, while MK Delta was built to use MK Ultra materials abroad. The project was eventually renamed MK Search, which attempted to find the perfect truth drug for use. Oh. He opens his coat and it's just a bunch of colorful, it's like Skittles, it's just a bunch of colorful dots that just roll out. That's a funny thought. All right, so Sidney Gottlieb was the head of the project. He was born in 1918. He attended Arkansas Tech University, where he studied botany, organic chemistry, and the principles of dairying. Woo! The principles of dairying. Squeeze and pull, squeeze and pull. Degree. I'm sure there's more to it than that. This earned him enough credits to be admitted to the University of Wisconsin, where he graduated magna cum laude, who cares, in 1940. He then was admitted to the California Institute of Technology, where he earned his doctorate in biochemistry just 3 years later. He worked in the Department of Agriculture, Food and Drug Administration, and National Research Council, only to end up as head of the MK Ultra program. Oh, Shunka, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you're going through that. That's a lot. You'll be in my thoughts for sure. And but all the same, happy birthday. Happy birthday to your mom. There's stories here. You all have some stories. I'm telling you what. You have some stories. Okay. So MK Ultra was spawned out of a continuation of the work done in World War II. Work done by who, you ask? Who could have possibly done this work that we took? Well, Japanese facilities and Nazi concentration camps. Because why the hell not, right? The project at one point utilized mescaline, which was a practice that Nazi doctors had started. It gets better and better. Also, I want to make sure that you know that I'm still on brand no matter what. Just it's really important to me that you know this. Okay. Sorry. How do we know that they were extending the Nazi experiments? How could I possibly know that? Well, they recruited secretly Nazi torturers and other doctors to continue experimentation. In fact, they were brought to Fort Detrick, Maryland, to instruct on the lethal uses of sarin gas. So how awesome is that? Yay! Oh man, the wig. Okay, so the wigs are upstairs in the attic. I rage packed them and put them upstairs. I'll have to bring them back. I need to get some popcorn. I was not all prepared tonight, you know. I was so proud of myself because up until like just a little while ago, I was like, okay, we're gonna do religious crimes. I'm doing one Om Shinrikyo. So it's like, I'll get sake. That'll be perfect. So I remembered that, and then everything else I just didn't even think about. Dramatic readings. I don't know. There's a lot to do. I actually have an announcement a little bit later, which I'm kind of excited about. So some of you have heard it, some of you haven't. All right. So overall, they wanted to figure out how to control the mind of captives of the CIA, but they were also interested in the possibility of manipulating foreign leaders as well. November 18th, 1953, 10 scientists met in a cabin in Maryland. It's the beginning of a joke. They agreed that to understand the value of a drug like LSD, they would need an unwitting experiment. Unwitting. People not fully aware of the facts. Let's put that out there. In an interview with journalist Stephen Kinzer, someone who spent years studying the program, He said, quote, Gottlieb wanted to create a way to seize control of people's minds. And he realized it was a two-part process. First, you had to blast away the existing mind. Second, you had to find a way to insert a new mind into that resulting void. We didn't get too far on number 2, but he did a lot of work on number 1. So did I in college. Thanks, Amos. That is the result of a 30-second. Oh my gosh, let's change it. Okay, so one of the biggest things that MK Ultra did was introduce a brand new drug into the U.S. I don't think this surprises many folks about the CIA and drugs being introduced. Gottlieb brought LSD to America. He's the godfather. Now, how did he do it? He arranged for the CIA to pay $240,000, almost $2.6 million today, to buy the world's entire supply of LSD. I don't know. I have no idea how one would know that they were buying the world's entire supply, but that's what was said. I can't even imagine. Like, what do you get that in crates? Does it come in how? What? I suppose liquid. Yikes. For real. For real. Imagine the market price on it now. Ugh. Scarcity drives up pricing. All right. The next thing, as if the first thing wasn't criminal, this one's beyond criminal. He spread LSD around the country. He sent it to hospitals, clinics, prisons, other installations of, quote, expendables. How did he do this without being traced? He presented as a bunch of, he basically presented himself as a bunch of shell foundations that were fronts for the CIA. These foundations wanted to see how LSD impacted people and how it might be able to be used as a mind control tool. Some famous folks that were in the project were Ken Casey, the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Robert Hunter, who was a lyricist for the Grateful Dead, and Allen Ginsberg, a poet who preached the benefits of LSD. So, quote, the CIA brought LSD to America unwittingly. They knew. And actually, it's a tremendous irony that the drug that the CIA hoped would be its key to controlling humanity actually wound up fueling a generational rebellion that was dedicated to destroying everything that the CIA held dear and defended. Yeah. So someone that didn't have a great experience was Whitey Bulger because he was in on it. As the experiment was sent to prisons, he volunteered. What he was told is that it was an experiment for curing schizophrenia. He was given LSD every day for over a year. Quote, I was in prison for committing a crime, but they committed a greater crime on me. Of course, this isn't the only experiment of its kind. What's insane is that MK Ultra was divided into over 150 sub-projects. These projects spanned the United States and globe. They administered these experiments and drugs to CIA employees, military personnel, doctors, other government agents, sex workers, mentally ill patients, and members of the general public. It's almost like they were one thing in the front and a totally different thing behind the scenes. This was all done without the subject's knowledge. They didn't know about it. In 1977, Senator Ted Kennedy said, quote, the deputy director of the CIA revealed that over 30 universities and institutions were involved in an extensive testing and experimentation program. Now, we could go through every project that I was able to look up within the Black Vault documents that were released through FOIA, but I'm not gonna. That would have to be a whole other podcast, and I've got enough going on. So, Gottlieb himself, as time wore on, became sadistic. First, he was given a ton of money. He was given 6% of the CIA's operating budget back in the 50s, only to be increased, I imagine, over the project's timeline. The CIA budget in 1953, because of course I looked it up, was $587 million. 6% of that's $35.22 million. Today, the same amount would be the equivalent of $381,364,006. So let's talk just a few of the things. Let's talk about just a few of the things that would happen during MK Ultra, specifically by Gottlieb. Although we know that a lot of this was happening everywhere, it's never just one; it's multiple. Honestly, when you hear about some of these things happening with average citizens, just assume it was 100 times worse for those who were deemed expendable by that day and age. All right, so here's a couple things. Victims locked in sensory deprivation chambers while under influence of LSD. They made recordings of the patient's therapy sessions and played a tape loop of their most self-degrading statements over and over through headphones with the patient in a straitjacket and dosed. A mental patient once received a dose of LSD for 174 days straight. The CIA generally dosed single targets, finding volunteers when they could, but sometimes they just slipped the drug into the drink of another CIA employee. Why not? The recruiting subjects was often illegal as well. How? Well, boy, I'm glad you asked in this one-sided conversation. Let's look at Operation Midnight Climax, which sounds like a really great Friday night, but what do you think this operation was about? So the CIA, it's exactly what it is. CIA set up several brothels to find a selection of men too embarrassed to talk about the events. One was located on 225 Chestnut Street, San Francisco. Someone decorated the room. A Berkeley engineering student installed bugging equipment. Brothels equipped with one-way mirrors, and the sessions were taped for later viewing. They were looking to see when, during sex, someone was apt to expose or share the most. They found out it was immediately after. Quote, White sat behind the mirror, martini in hand, and waited for the action to begin. Prostitutes, their words not mine, would lure unsuspecting Johns to the bedroom, where the men would be dosed with LSD and their actions observed by White from beyond the mirror. As payment for their services, the sex workers received small amounts of cash, as well as a guarantee from White that he'd intercede when the women inevitably had run-ins with the law enforcement in the future. Eventually, they changed the purpose of this to focus on the sex. Officials began asking questions like how to work with prostitutes, how they could be trained, and how they would handle state secrets. White said, quote, I toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, cheat, steal, rape, and pillage with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest? Oh, zoinks. They did have subjects who gave their consent. Of course, as any scientific project will do, those people experienced even worse experiments. Selection of volunteers, they were given LSD for 69 days straight. They didn't just use LSD, though. No. They used heroin, mescaline, psilocybin. I give myself a billion different things here. Scopolamine, marijuana, alcohol, sodium pentothal, and drumroll. Here we go. One arm connected to the barbiturate IV and another arm connected to the amphetamine IV. They introduce barbiturates and the patient begins to fall asleep. Immediately release the amphetamines and the subject would babble. And it was, quote, sometimes possible to ask questions and get useful answers. This was eventually abandoned because, well, it resulted in the death of patients. Duh. Anything done without someone's consent was a violation of the Nuremberg Code, so that tells you just how deep they had to cover this. We don't know how many people died. Ultimately, it's a mystery. They literally were drugging people all over the place. Also, keep in mind that the people drugging others unwillingly were usually totally untrained to do anything regarding observation, experimentation, etc. So what else don't we know? Most of MKUltra's records were destroyed in 1973 by the CIA director at the time, Richard Helms. Thanks to a, quote, clerical error, there were documents in other places, primarily checks and payouts for expense requests that also had explanations of some of the sub-projects attached. Now, listen, this wasn't only in the U.S. I mentioned this earlier, right? This wasn't only in the U.S. This stretched into other countries. We're going to focus on Canada, though, because it was on brand for the podcast at the time because my co-host Mike is Canadian. I will say, though, that there were secret detention centers in places like Japan, Germany, the Philippines. People were captured and made to experience all kinds of torture and experimentation. Donald Ewan Cameron. He was a British psychiatrist who hoped to correct schizophrenia by erasing existing memories and reprogramming the mind. He lived in Albany but traveled to Montreal to work at Allen Memorial Institute. He was paid $69,000 from 1957 to 1964. That's US $579,480 today. That's over $82,000 a year. Cameron had no idea that the CIA was paying him. He was paid by a front organization called the Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology. So, in the front, it looks like they're trying to do good things, but in the back, it's all nefarious. Used various paralytic, He used various paralytic drugs, electroconvulsive therapy. Of course, he used electroconvulsive therapy at 30 to 40 times the normal power. Yikes. He put patients in drug-induced comas for weeks at a time. One patient he put into a drug-induced coma for 3 months. Patients ended up with urinary incontinence, amnesia, forgot how to talk, they forgot about their parents. During this entire time, he became the chairman. He's doing this stuff. And then he becomes the chairman of the World Psychiatric Association, the president of the American Psychiatric Association, and the Canadian Psychiatric Association. Why not? Canada has never come out with a list of victims of this. However, there is one that we can talk about. Lloyd Schreier. His mother was experimented on while she was pregnant with him. She was absolutely unwitting. She had no idea about it. She slept 30 days at a time while she was given 4 or 5 barbiturates and amphetamines at a time. They put her in a drug-induced coma in a sleep room, and she was awoken only to eat and go to the bathroom. She received electroshock therapy until she was 8 months pregnant because it was then deemed too dangerous. And in 6 months, she had 29 electroshock treatments. She went through repatterning, which involved breaking down her mind through drugs and electroshock therapy to work with a clean mind and reprogram. Psychic driving. They played recorded messages to her and other patients for up to 20 hours a day, asleep or awake, and they would just play it over and over again. At the end of her time there, his mother was incontinent, mute, had trouble swallowing, and she had to relearn everything. Now, she had Lloyd, but she had no idea what to do with a baby. And she even forgot how to boil water. Quote, I had a new baby, and I didn't know what to do with the baby. I had help, a baby nurse, but she had to have a day off, and she left me a book. And I'll just give you a little example from the book. When you hear the baby cry, go to the room, pick up the baby, and step by step how to feed the baby, and that was very frightening. Canada provided funding to Cameron even longer than the CIA. 77 former patients received $100,000 each. The government gave them this compensation without admitting fault. The same happened in the US. Esther received payment, but Lloyd was denied despite being an unborn child throughout the entire period. They said he was not a patient. Then Alan Rock, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, said, quote, as the government of Canada does not accept any liability or negligence for the treatment given to the patients of Dr. Cameron, we have limited this payment to former patients. This government can only do so much, therefore limiting payments was necessary. I'm just saying, like, if you can only do so much, you decided that you could do these experiments and pay for them, so it doesn't matter what I say. So while much of this project was scaled back in the late 60s, it officially ended around 1973 when, as explained before, Helms destroyed a lot of the documentation. So in 1977, Senator Edward Kennedy oversaw a congressional hearing about this project following the 1976 Church Committee report. Ex-CIA employers were asked to attend in order to answer questions like, why? But also who oversaw the programs, how participants were identified, and if any programs had continued. Plenty of details came out of this, including information about the 1953 suicide of Dr. Frank Olson. I think, who had mentioned window? Indy Cindy wrote about the jumping out of the window. So this is Dr. Frank Olson. Frank Olson jumped out of a hotel window after unwittingly consuming a drink spiked with LSD. A later autopsy would also reveal that his head was cracked prior to his death and prior to him jumping out the window. Conspiracies abound, but also it was pretty believable. He had Dr. Olson had approached superiors to let them know he doubted the morality of the project, and he was asked to resign from the CIA. The CIA doctor assigned to Dr. Olson, while in the hotel, claimed to be asleep in another bed when he fell to his death. As said, it was described as a suicide, but when he was exhumed in 1994, they found that Olson was knocked unconscious before he exited the window, and it was retermed a homicide. Oh, well, I didn't come across that name. I didn't do a good job then. I'll have to look up Diane Linkletter. Thank you for that. You remember when I had a notebook and I used to write things down? That notebook's gone. I'll just look at the replay for sure. Congress didn't really get what they wanted out of the hearing because a lot of the folks they called couldn't remember the details. So MK Ultra kind of continued on. In 1963, MK Search was the new name. That was divided into two projects called MK Often and MK Chickwit. The funding for this began in 1965 and ended in 71. No government recognized any liability or negligence. The U.S. certainly didn't. Very few have won cases to receive payment. Even Dr. Olson's family received $750,000 from the U.S. government, and although they received apologies from them, then President Gerald Ford and CIA Director William Colby, they only apologized for the issue with not having formal consent. Another case for wrongful death was brought forth against the federal government by the Olsons, but that case was dismissed. In terms of a few conspiracy theories that came out of this, it was thought that Ted Kaczynski was a subject of the voluntary psychological study to be part of MK Ultra. He spent 200 hours as part of the study. Sirhan Sirhan, the person who assassinated Robert F. Kennedy, was believed to be operating under MK mind control. Ooh, conspiracies. So I think, in conclusion, the best way to end this is by saying, what the fuck? And also to quote John Lennon, and that's how I'm going to end this. John Lennon said, quote, "We must always remember to thank the CIA and the Army for LSD. They brought out LSD to control people, and what they did was give us freedom. Sometimes it works in mysterious ways. It's wonders to perform." So, woo! MK Ultra, everybody. That is obviously just like the surface level. But,
spicy.
Is spicy. Absolutely spicy. Hopefully that was interesting to you all. Mike and I, on our Patreon, we cover a lot of conspiracy stuff. We read books from conspiracy theorists, etc. And we have a good time doing it. Excuse me. The old Red Hot Chili Pepper. It sure is. It's almost like a meerkat hole.
And I feel
really
like that
is.
needs to be celebrated.
It needs to be celebrated. All right, so let's go ahead and scooch on over to the next thing, which apparently is the top 10 funniest moments in court. I don't know. We'll see. That's for you to judge. Let me know if you can't hear it. I don't. We'll see.
We go to the Miami-Dade courthouse, where Judge Catherine Pooler's presiding over a bond hearing. The defendant, Calvin Lloyd Griffith, allegedly broke into a local school and stole an employee's car. Griffith was arrested and is here on charges of grand theft, burglary, and trespassing. He also violated his probation from a previous car theft.
Calvin Lloyd Griffin Jr. on page 12. Good morning. Mr. Griffin is charged with burglary, petty theft, grand theft of a vehicle, and trespass. And he's on probation.
He's out on probation, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm on probation. I'm on papers.
Okay.
Office be here anyway because I smoke weed and cocaine. So the office, I smoke weed and cocaine.
The court officials decide to cut Griffith's mic off to prevent him from talking over everyone.
So the office,
Okay. You're Calvin Griffin?
Mr. Senator, the button pressed.
Oh, okay.
As Judge Pooler continues looking over the paperwork, Griffiths continues to try to get the attention of the judge.
Okay, let's see.
But with Judge Pooler unable to hear Griffith, he decides to try a different approach.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
Not impressed with
100%
Griffith's
me.
twerking abilities, the judge moves on with the case.
State is requesting that Your Honor set the bond, but reset the case in division tomorrow because his actions violate his probation.
Judge Pooler agrees with the state attorney and sets Griffith's bond at $18,500.
And there's a statewide order from Miami Edison Senior High. If you should get out, do not go back there. You're not a student anymore. Okay? Thank you for coming in.
As the judge moves on to the next, less entertaining defendant, Judge Pooler looks back fondly on her time with Calvin Griffith.
I want the last guy to come back and teach us how to dance. He's a pretty smooth guy.
He was biting his bottom lip and everything.
All right, Nelson Walker. There you are.
Next, we're in Miami-Dade County, where Nelson Walker is charged with a crime where the evidence may be, as they say in the law, in plain view.
All right, you're charged with stealing a Dolphin jersey.
Judge Ward seems a bit suspicious of the situation, and when she begins asking Walker about the Dolphins jersey he's wearing, he's got an answer.
This ain't the one, Your Honor.
No?
No, ma'am. It show on that I ain't took no jersey. I ain't took now jersey.
Walker first insists the Dolphins jersey he's wearing is not the one he allegedly stole.
Hi, Bacon Bits.
This ain't the one, Your Honor.
He then claims he didn't steal a jersey at all.
It show on that I ain't took no jersey. I ain't took now jersey.
The judge then turns to the public defender for his take. But he decides to raise an issue regarding an inconsistency on the police report.
Public defender.
As to Mr. Walker, respectfully, Your Honor, we're going to be raising a probable cause.
As to what?
As to this being a felony, because the allegations are an observation of observing the defendant and co-defendant put on a Dolphin hats. The officer says A and then says hats, so there's an issue as to whether it's two hats or one hat.
Walker seems on board with the public defender's approach.
The officer says A and then says hats, so there's an issue as to whether it's
His first
two
mistake
hats
was
or
making
one
it a
hat.
Dolphins jersey.
Despite the
I don't know
semantics
enough
issue,
about sports.
the judge orders Walker, who has 29 prior felonies on his record, held on $5,000 bond. Weeks later, Miami-Dade prosecutors declined to press charges against Walker, and he's released. But the judge did order Walker to stay away from the Dolphin Stadium. Perhaps not seeing his beloved team play in person is punishment enough.
Wait. Is that what they said his age was? Did they say his age was 29 felonies? I was like, that man looks a little older than that.
Next, we're in the Broward County Bond Court in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Mr. Shanus, Abraham Arthur Shanus, and I have been legally divorced for 31 years.
Let me tell you something right now. If I was in jail and that woman walked up to me, I would walk the hell away. She looks like she owns the place, and all those guys behind her staring at her tell me she owns the place.
Okay.
And I have the papers to prove it.
This is 80-year-old Dolores Shinus. She landed herself in jail for resisting arrest after violating a restraining order filed by her ex-husband.
We both resided at 20 the Bend, and he paid for the apartment entirely. His assumption is because he paid for the apartment, he's entitled to do his leases.
I can't get in the middle of who owns the apartment.
I know, that's not the point. The point I'm telling you.
I need to keep you away from it, all right?
I haven't bothered him for 31 years. Why would I bother him now?
Rather than actually getting up in arms, Judge John Hurley decides to release Shyness on a personal recognizance bond.
I do want to say this. My great grandmother, born in the like 1913 or something. She was a flapper, and I will say this: her arms were like that. Like she was like 5'6", 5'5", but her arms, it was like a 6-foot wingspan. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. But you definitely knew when she gave you a hug.
So long as she agrees to stay away from her ex-husband.
You are not allowed to call him, text him, email him. You are to stay 500 feet from him at all times. That's where he lives, where he works, anywhere in between. Ma'am, you're getting a second chance on this case. I don't particularly feel like keeping an 80-year-old woman in the jail who has no criminal record. But this is your second warning.
Oh, thank you. Working on it.
I swear to God and all that's holy on a stack of Bibles, I will never go near him, talk to him, call him, or
What was
even
the
look
first
at
thing
him.
you were going to swear on besides the Bibles?
All that's holy.
What?
I don't remember.
Oh.
What?
All that's holy.
What?
All that's holy. Yeah.
Oh, all that's holy. Yes, sir. I didn't recognize your twang.
The senior's sassy remark catches
By the
Judge
way,
Hurley off
it's John Hurley, the judge.
guard.
Ma'am, have you ever thought of doing a stand-up routine? Have you ever thought about that?
I did. Well, if you pay me good money, sweetheart, I'll be there. I'm really short of funds.
Ma'am, I got to tell you something. You seem like you have a great wit about you.
I do, sir.
Yeah, so...
I mean, sweetheart, that's the only thing I have.
I'm not called sweetheart in this courtroom.
Does that mean you're taking me for breakfast?
She wants the Rudy
Let
Tooty.
me ask you something, ma'am.
Fresh and fruity.
How have I done as a judge today? So far, how am I doing?
Not bad, but you could do better.
Can we get a drum roll with this?
With
Does she know that he's not the John Hurley that does the AKC like yearly annual dog show? She knows that, right?
It's already wrapped up. The only thing the judge, the public defender, and all the other inmates are waiting for is one final punchline.
I got to tell you, you brighten my day, ma'am. All right?
That's what the last guy said, and then he sued me.
Meet Timothy DiMatteo.
Oh boy.
John Hurley.
The 34-year-old Florida rock musician was charged with petty theft and damage to property for allegedly trying to steal nutritional supplements from a store and then damaging items after he was caught.
They didn't work.
As Judge John Hurley kicks off the bond hearing,
Court finds probable cause.
he makes a request that will come back to haunt him.
Turn on the mic, please, somebody. Why do they...
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
You know me, don't you?
No.
Before Judge Hurley can get another word in, this rocker breaks into a solo.
I was going to pick up my strips. They said it was a 45-minute wait for some reason. I'm walking around shopping. I go to the bathroom to take a piss and wash my hands, and the manager's in there waiting for me, thinking I'm shoplifting. I wasn't shoplifting anything.
No?
No. My first, second, third, fourth, 13th, 14th Amendment rights have been violated.
But it turns out this isn't the first time the defendant's been charged for stealing.
Your Honor, if I may, two things worth noting. Mr. DiMatteo was arrested September 14th of this year at a Mexican restaurant, where allegedly he ran up a bill for $256.26. He refused to leave or pay for his tab. Additionally, on September 29th of this year, he was placed on 18 months probation for grand theft.
As Judge Hurley checks on the details of the pending charges, DiMatteo can be seen growing more animated with the public defender. And when his mic gets turned back on,
Your Honor, sidebar.
Yes, he raises his hand and asks the judge for a sidebar.
Your Honor, sidebar.
Wait, no,
Your Honor.
Stop. It's not your turn.
After being muted once again, DiMatteo decides to...
I was gone. Am I back? What happened? Who knows? Who knows? YouTube's insane. Let's see. Well, if it's the curse of the violated policy, then I have a lot to talk to YouTube about because it's not at all. But all right, YouTube, you do your thing. I just find YouTube to be bitter and hateful and it's just ridiculous. They're not correct in any way, shape, or form. If they want to fight me, they can fight me because it's not right. I'll enjoy having a conversation with YouTube and letting them know the realities of copyright. Oh well. Let me see here. Oh yeah. So let's just violate some more, shall we? While I was at it, while he was playing, I found this, which is great.
I'm just not a tester. Hell, at this point, I can't even read. My song, wasting away again in Gainesville.
Yes, it is. It is. No, it could have been a glitch, I'm sure. I do need to make a fair use banner. You're correct. I don't know. YouTube doesn't know its own laws or policies, and that's fine. It's not surprising at all. Well, we had a good time, didn't we? I do want to play something for you. That's mine. So YouTube, suck it. That's right. I done did said it. I have a quick video here advertising the stream that's coming up, I think February 3rd. So let's have a look, shall we? That's right, Lake Bottom murders, which Terry covered a couple of episodes ago, I believe. Her company that she works for is based in Finland, and she's going to be going to Finland, and her boss is actually taking her to Lake Bottom, and she's going to be filming her time at Lake Bottom and the area in which the murders occurred, and then at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. We will be going live with Terry, where she is going to show us that footage and everything like that. So it's going to be a really, really good time. I have one more announcement to make, and that is that we are going to be adding another show to True Crime and Wine Time, because it's never, you know me, it's never just one. It's never just one. And here's what you need to know. Back in 2007, I was born on a dark, stormy night. No, back in 2007, I picked up a radio show, and it was for WCNU at Christopher Newport University. And I had just met this dude, and he was ridiculous and hysterical and funny, and ended up becoming my best lifelong friend, Rudy, Rude Boy, or Ryan. And you know, we've been through thick and thin together, and I was trying to figure out what we could do to make like I've been talking about this, but having a show that's just chill, that's not always true crime, that is just a hangout. And that means quizzes, that means top 10 lists, that means variety, that means dramatic readings and wigs and silliness. And I could think of nobody better than my good buddy Rude Boy to join me on that. And I said, why wouldn't we just bring back the original that we know? So soon enough, I will have a trailer. But for right now, the Hey Ho Show is coming back. The Hey Ho Show is the show that we had every Monday night at CNU from 10 to 12. And we are going to be bringing the Hey Ho Show back. Now, I can't really play the intro music like I used to when it was an internet radio station that nobody cared about and we paid for a license. So I can't really play, the Ramones, which was our intro. I'm going to find something though. So Hey Ho Show's coming your way, and it'll be happening soon. Ryan and I just got to work out some of the details of the schedule, and we'll be adding a second show to True Crime and Wine Time. And so I'm really, really excited about that. Things are so tense these days, and I think we need a break. I love true crime. I wouldn't have spent 5 years around it, 4 years around it like I have if I didn't. But I also like chilling out, hanging out with my buddies, and giving people a safe space to chat and talk and support each other. And that is really what Night Court was about. If you knew Night Court, I think all of you do. And so, well, I mean, it is the beginning of my last name, so it checks out. But Night Court was all about hanging out, having a good time, being respectful, and loving each other and supporting each other. And that's what I want to continue to do. And I am so grateful that Terry's kind of let me embark on this second show. And I'm excited to kind of take this to another level. We could do so much more than we could in 2007 for so many reasons. You know what? That's so sad. I wish you would, so I could do a dramatic reading of it. That would be fantastic. Yes, I agree. We want the good, and the good is important, and we just can't. This is why I have not, other than auto posts, even approached Twitter since October 31st, 2023. I refuse to be on it anymore. I don't like it, and it's become a cesspool. And that's not a comment on anybody who is on Twitter. You all are lovely people, but overall, it's a cesspool. So I haven't been on since then, and I don't miss it. So I'll post for promotional stuff, auto post, but that's it. It's just not worth it anymore. So yes, I do too. And you know what? For all I know, Night Court might come back in addition to the Hey Ho Show. I mean, it would be great to have 2 shows every week and then 3 shows every other week. And in terms of our live recordings, Terry and I really want to make this a full-time gig. And so we're trying to push forward with time being recorded and people subscribing. Please share the page. The more subscribers we have, the better. I don't know if you remember, but when we do hit 1,000, I will be doing a makeup tutorial, and I will be tasting a 2.6 million Scoville hot sauce. So you may not see me after that, but it'll be worth it, right? It'll be worth it. So yes, I agree. Wholeheartedly. Yes. We can bring those back too. The cool part about Rudy is that he and I are very similar in likes, dislikes, our need to chill out and hang out and just have a good time. And so I know you all will love him a lot. So it is a little bit spicy. It is spicy for sure. It's the hot ones, hot sauce that's made with the hottest pepper in the world, Pepper X, and so that should be a good time. All right, so everybody, listen. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight on this impromptu chill out time. Also, apparently, I don't have connection issues anymore. So yay, that's awesome. I don't think I went blurry. If I did, let me know. But please, like, subscribe, hit that alarm button. Really, you all who are here already don't need to be told that because you've done it already. But we live by word of mouth, and so share it with your friends. We'd really appreciate that. Also, if you want, I'm trying to find. Hold on, wait a second. I'm gonna pop this in the chat. If you like it, if you like what we're doing, and you just want more of me and all the cool people, go ahead and head to that link. That'll take you to the Courtyard. It's a cool new Discord. It's super involved. By that I mean people get involved and have a good time. We've got 14 events lined up. Some of them are the live streams. There's coffee and cartoons in the morning with Bob's Burgers. We've got Jeopardy game nights. I think is it every other Thursday. And then there's a ton more that we do. It's really cool. And so definitely click on that, join. You'll love yourself for it. Self-care by clicking and enjoying the Courtyard and subscribing and letting people know. And I'm going to stop doing the shameless self-promotion stuff. And I'm going to say goodnight to you all, even though I don't really want to. I appreciate you. I love you. I don't remember what my old sign-off was at all. Take care of yourself. Take care of your. Let's see if I can get it back. Take care of yourself. Take care of your friends and family. Oh geez. Here we go. Take care of yourself. Take care of your friends and family. As Pantuflay once said, don't let anybody dull your sparkle. And shine on, you crazy diamonds. I will see you all next time. Bye.